Steve Crouch from the Software Sustainability Institute in the UK. I'm also involved with the IGE project, Initiative for Globus in Europe. And one part of our software that we supply is a piece of software called Gridsafe. Now, in Globus, you're kind of limited in kind of the options you have in terms of accounting. But what you want to be able to do, of course, is actually to be able to find out who ran what where. So when you have a grid where you're running lots of jobs, it's very important to find out exactly, how your system is being used, being able to get hold of those records of usage so that your system administrators can see how it's being used, what's being used, so they can decide basically how best to use the infrastructure going forward in the future, and also perhaps potentially to be able to pay, provide a paying model perhaps for those using those resources. So the problem that Gridsafe tries to solve is, well, basically you have a Globus Gram 5 installation. This is basically a compute cluster sitting somewhere with Globus sitting on top of it. But you want to be able to find out how your system is being used. And you want to be able to access it in a way that's very user-friendly and a very site-based way of finding out what's going on across your resources. And perhaps you also need to be able to contribute this information into EGI's central repository, the APL central repository. This could be important for you if you're perhaps a member of the EGI infrastructure and you have Globus-based resources that are part of EGI, and you want to be able to account for those at the highest level of EGI's reporting of usage. So what we've actually managed to achieve is we've managed to achieve supporting the entire accounting pipeline. So effectively, you have your Globus installation that's sitting on top of a computational cluster, and this cluster could be PBS, it could be Torque, it could be LSF. And then effectively what it does is it supports the pipeline from jobs being submitted on that cluster through Globus, and then accounting for usage all the way through the pipeline to the site level, and then from the site level to uploading those records to the APL Central Repository. Also, one of the key things we do in IGE is make sure that all our software is very straightforward to install and configure. And in fact, as part of the demo you'll see later, you'll be seeing that this is a very quick and painless process. Also part of Gridsafe, it also supports easy extensibility, so if you wish to support other batch processing systems, you can extend it by creating new parsers that are able to deal with those different batch systems. And also one thing we do is we support accepted and emerging open standards as well, which we'll cover briefly in a minute. So the software basically came from the Edinburgh Parallel Computation Centre in the UK. They developed this accounting system called SAFE. And so what they did as part of the Gridsafe project was actually implement open standards on top of that. It's actually deployed at the ECDF in Edinburgh on the EDI cluster, and it's currently being deployed on Prace. In addition to the SAFE project and the Gridsafe software, there's also what's being developed at the National E-Infrastructure Service, which is the used to be the UK NGS in the UK. They basically developed a very clever system for being able to extract all the information from all the different log files that exist within Globus and within the batch systems. And what we've done is we've taken this work and extended it to incorporate support for GT5, and also, importantly, which is the main integration point, integrating with the GT5 audit record capability. And we have packaged this as part of Gridsafe for the IG software version 3.0, which will be available at the end of this month. So, from a site level architecture, this is basically how the system works. You can have a number of sub-sites that exist within your local site, and each one of these could be running Globus. Perhaps typically you only have one, but in theory it can support many. So you have your GT5 installation, which is in front of a cluster, such as PBS or Torque. And then basically what that enables you to do is to take the records out of the GT5 audit capability, and then upload those, well, by converting them first into usage records, which is an OGF open standard, but uploading those records into the Gridsafe portal system. Then when you have those records uploaded, and this could be hundreds of jobs, it could be thousands of jobs, run by a variety of users, you can then use the reporting portal within Gridsafe to actually have a look at those records and see what's happening within your site. In addition to that, Gridsafe also supports a number of different standards. We've already mentioned the OGF usage record version 1.0, which is prevalent across many different systems that are supporting accounting, but also the new EMI CAR version 1.0 specification, the compute accounting record. So once you've actually captured all this information, all this usage record information in the local system, you can then elect optionally to upload that to the EGI central repository as you mentioned earlier, and at the moment we're supporting the APEL message format version 0.2 to do that. So looking at it as part of a larger centralised APEL ecosystem, when you have APEL clients, they can be basically plugged into this framework and they can submit usage records through to the central APEL server. But the other thing that's really good for this ecosystem, this infrastructure, is it also supports external clients, and Gridsafe is one of those external clients. Since it's not technically an APEL client, it still needs to be able to submit records in the right format. And by using SSM version 1.2, which is supplied by STFC, which is a secure stop messaging client, that enables us to upload records from Gridsafe into this infrastructure and to be held in a central APEL server repository for browsing at a later date. So a little on the future work before we come to the demo. Basically what we'll be doing in the next phase of development, which is from October to March next year, is basically consolidating the work we've done, testing it and deploying it at LRZ in Munich, and integrating it with their systems there. We'll also be doing a lot of in-depth testing with a centralised APEL system, just to make sure that all varieties of usage record are catered for and that they're being uploaded correctly. Also focusing on documentation improvements as well. But in addition, we'll be looking at some other sort of features as well, which we'd like to integrate into the system. Supporting multi-site identification, so that each of the sites within an individual facility can be properly individually identified, but also for supporting additional LRMS platforms as well, on a need to support basis as we help people to install the software and use it. Also supporting other various reporting formats in the portal, which you'll see in a minute, and also incorporating support for VOM's virtual organisation data. This is very critical because we need to be able to make sure that we're registering exactly which virtual organisation users are part of as part of the record format. And the good news is we actually have all the infrastructure and all the expertise necessary within IG to do that. And the infrastructure is actually already in place, we just need to glue these two bits together, and then we'll have that capability as well. And finally, of course, to make sure that all services that are deployed as part of EGI are properly inserted into the RocDB database in EGI. So, on to the demo.